What's up, everybody? It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. I have a guest here for y'all. What's good, bro? You want to introduce yourself?
Man, it's Trap Lord Ross, you know what I'm saying, a hip-hop documentary extraordinaire, and this is about to be a very special conversation, man. We've been excited for this one, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to get off our chest.
Finally linked up.
For sure.
We down here in Miami, and there's a lot that I want to get into with you. You know, we've been supporting each other early on with this YouTube journey.
For real.
And we've damn near been neck and neck.
Yeah, man.
And then we both hit million subscribers, and
it's about the same time probably, right?
Yeah,
I swear.
So this is it's crazy because a lot of people, you know, they want to compete and this and that, but for us it's always just been like, yo, keep doing what you're doing. It's just been nothing but love and support, which is rare.
It is, man.
But I really want to dive into your story, and then I want to dive into more so how it is being you, because I feel like there's a lot of things that we're going to be able to you know, talk about that we have in common. Being that we cover a lot of the same shit. So let's start off with where did you grow up at?
Yeah, man. So I grew up in a very small town in the south of England called Bognor Regis. This is like a tiny seaside town. Like I will keep it real, it's not very diverse. It's a very white, English, old school town. Like London is like the real center of the UK. Right. And a lot of these small towns, like they're just mad out the way, very uncultured. So I was born in like the south of London. Like my older brothers grew up in the city, which is like way more cultural. There's hip hop, there's music, there's stuff, way more stuff going on. And then when I was about 5 years old, we moved down to this small town. Like my dad had a business that failed, and then he had to kind of get into a cheaper area to get kind of like a more of a low key business to get back on his feet. But the crazy thing is that like I was just this young kid in this small town, but I had two older brothers that through living in London till they were maybe like, I don't know, 15, 16, they got into all of this more cultured shit. So they would get the train up to back to the city to go to hip hop shows. Like my brothers used to do like battle raps and shit. They would go up to London and do battle rapping. Like I remember I was a kid, I must have been, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8. And I remember hearing like my big bros, they're gonna go to the battle rap and he's gonna compete. And my brother ended up winning, and I came downstairs in the morning to go to school, and my brother there was like a golden microphone. It was like some battle rap league or something that he was doing back in the day. I just remember seeing that, just thinking it was so cool. And I used to just like steal their CDs, steal their vinyl records. Like they had a little home studio, they would make beats. Like one made beats, the other one would rap. And I would just be creeping in there, taking the music, taking the Jay-Z, listening to it at night. Like my mum used to like take the CDs away from me. She didn't want me listening to Eminem, but that just became like my passion and my love, just trying to be like, emulate my big bros that had grown up in the city. But until I was 18, I lived in this small town, and like I had one friend at school that was into hip hop, but like I felt like an outcast. I was so obsessed with this culture, I had no one to talk to about it. So that's why it's so weird that I've ended up doing this as a career, because I felt so isolated from culture when I grew up. Right. But like my brothers were like a lifeline to just this interesting world that I just wanted to know more about.
So at what point did you actually dive into that world yourself?
So this is the thing, right? Having two older brothers that rapped, I just wanted to be like them. So even when I was in school, I was trying to rap. Like I would have been like 9 years old, right? And they had a school disco, and they had like I think it was like a song competition. And they were like, yeah, you know, you can, it was like a kind of fun thing. Like we're talking like primary school and shit, like 5th grade or something. And they were like, yeah, you can make a song. They'll let you in the music department to make a song. It's like me and 5 of my friends made like a rap song, and they were like, we were like won the thing, and they played the song, and we did like it wasn't like a real performance, but they like played the song, and we like wild out at the school disco. I'm like 9 or 10. But at the time I was like, yeah, I'm a rapper. Like I'm rapping. Like
we gotta find the audio for this.
I've got it, bro. I can play it to you. You want to pull it up?
That's fine.
I can probably find it, man. I can probably find it. Wait, where's my phone? Because you know what it is? I thought I was spitting, man. Like when I was a kid and I was dropping this stuff, like I really thought, I was like, bro, I'm gonna be a rapper. Like I remember we did like career day at school. It was like, what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a rapper. Like I draw microphones on my books and shit. Like I really wanted to rap. So like when I got even older, I was like trying to make songs and dropping little mixtapes. Like, I remember I recorded this one mixtape. I was just a dumb little kid. I'd have been like, this has been like sixth grade or something. I recorded this mixtape called like Move Your Ass, the mixtape. And I was like handing it out in school, and then I got in mad trouble because it's like me just being dumb as a kid, like move your ass, like being an idiot. And it like I think the head teacher got it, and I got in mad trouble. I was like, oh, this is like not acceptable behavior and shit. But I was just trying to be a lit rapper. Let me see if I got the song on here, man. I gotta have the song. I want to be able to play you the song, because this is like real shit. When people are like, oh, you ain't really about this hip hop thing. I'm like, bro, I was like 9 years old.
Yeah, y'all don't even know.
I was trying to make it, bro. I was trying to make this shit happen.
Early
and like,
on.
I would have gone for it. Wait, I'm gonna pull it up, because this is
That's
like,
funny as fuck.
this is mad culture. Wait, oh man. Wait.
That's fire, because I didn't even expect that.
That's the thing is like I feel like when people come at me with these little things, I've got like the best defense. Like here it is. I don't know if they'll be able to hear this, right? But this is, I had cover art and shit. That's me. Like this is our album we dropped, like our
That's
song.
you right there?
Yeah.
Ross 94.
I was 9 years old, bro, going in. My brother used to ghostwrite all the shit. This is my homie. You got to get to me, hang on. It was like a Halloween disco, so it's themed. It's like a Halloween themed song.
This you?
Yeah. Disco at school. The words in my sentence. If you're the president. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, can't nobody say shit about you.
Come on, man. I was going in, bro. I wanted to be a rapper hard, bro.
That's
like,
fine. He said Ross 94.
Deep in the disco ball. Bro, that shit was so lit, man. And it's just like throughout, but look, I'll keep it real. Like, people were making fun of me at school. Like, I wanted to rap. I'd drop a little song, and I just knew my homies were mocking me, making fun. I'd shoot little music videos.
It didn't matter.
I just loved it. I just wanted to do it, bro. Like, when I was recording music and dropping videos and doing that, I just felt good. Like, it was exciting to me. But the way that story goes is that at a certain point, I was like, bro, no one's really trying to hear me rap. So then I started trying to find just anyone in my, like where I grew up was this small town, but like an hour away, there was kind of like a bigger city. And I would just, when I got to be like 17, 18, I was meeting just like other young guys that were trying to rap. And I was like, let me shoot your rap video. I was like good with a camera and stuff like that. And so like, I would just find rappers shoot their videos for free. It was no disrespect, but they were not rappers that popped off or anything like that. Yeah. But just homies and friends or friends of friends. If I found someone that's like, oh, my homie's a rapper, I'd be like, let me shoot you a video. Because I just wanted to be in the mix, doing anything like with the rappers. I tried to make beats for a bit, didn't really go anywhere. But I just loved rap. I wanted to be in there, in the culture somehow, doing something, videos, production, rapping, like anything. But like the YouTube thing just happened so organically of like, I was good with a camera, I'd shoot music videos, you know, no one was paying me, I'd be getting ripped off, rappers don't want to drop, I'd do a shit video, they wouldn't want to drop it and like it'd be mad embarrassing. But I started just doing like stand-up comedy and like sketches, just fucking around on YouTube, just doing anything for fun. Yeah. Like entertaining myself, getting no views, reaction videos. But I did a few hip hop reaction videos. Like, this is the thing as well, I feel like people forget is like, I used to react to like UK rappers, like Skepta would drop a music video and I'd do a reaction video to it. No views, but like, I was just trying stuff out and like sharing my love for the culture and these songs that were dropping. And it just one day, basically, I tried to do this video. I was like, oh, let me do this hip hop story about how Jay-Z shot his brother when he was 12. I was like, that's a mad interesting hip hop story. And that just, I got like 20,000 views organically, got reposted on Reddit. And that was just, my career was just a wave at that point. Like I'd never seen views on anything. And I was like, overnight, I was like 20,000 views. I was like, how is this shit real? Like, and I was just like, people really fucking with the documentaries. People in the comments just like, yo, how do you know this in England? Like, who are you? And from there, I just kept going. I did the Gucci Mane story. I did the Young Thug shooting up Wayne's tour bus story, the DaBaby story, well, and it just kept going.
Let me ask, right? Because clearly you were a fan of hip hop. You wanted to be a rapper. But like you said, the first story that took off was involving a shooting. Mm. How much, if any, of a street element did hip hop have in your area or the city that your brothers were in? Was there any street shit going on, or was it more so just the music that you were interested in? Because the streets, the music, I mean, hip hop is a blend of it all. So what was that aspect where you were at?
So here's going to be an unexpected answer, right? There was not really any street shit going on where I was. You'd hear stories and see movies about gangs in London and stuff like that. Right. But it was like more like old school East End gangsters. Nothing to do with music. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of the Cray twins. Yeah. They were famous like London East End gangster twins that were fucking shit up in the UK. Right. Nothing to do with music, but I was always mad interested in the gangster culture from gangster movies. Because I had older brothers, same as the hip hop.
So more so this was like the white gangsters and it wasn't necessarily like the hip hop and...
Well, you know what it was? It was like, so I'm gonna trace it back, right? I would be watching Scarface and I'd be watching Goodfellas and The Godfather. I watched Sopranos mad young when it was still on TV and shit. But like, I was also interested in the kind of like, the gangster rap culture. I was mad into NWA when I was kind of young. I was listening to Eazy-E, 50 Cent, I thought was a story that really fascinated me as a kid because I had a poster of 50 Cent on my wall, and he was like a Get Rich or Die Trying cover with the bullet hole in it.
You had that poster?
I had that poster.
That was the first poster I ever had in my room.
Bro, this is crazy. But the maddest thing about that is like 50 was like a superhero. Because to me, it sounds weird, but it was like, how has this guy got shot 9 times and he's still out here and he's going diamond and he's dropping it in the club? Like, I was like, yo, this is actually a real Superman. Fuck a Marvel fantasy character. This guy got shot 9 times and he's doing this. Like that video in the club where he comes down from the ceiling and he's ripped and he's doing the sit-ups. I'm just like, bro, this guy's a superhero.
That shit had me feeling like I could get shot 3 times. I'll be fine if he can get hit 9.
Facts, right?
It's just, you know?
So it's like that kind of introduced me to gangster rap. But here's the other thing, right? And this kind of gets, it's, okay. So like when I was younger, I used to hear all these stories about like my grandfather. He died before I was born, so I never actually met my grandfather, but I'd hear all these stories of like, yo, he was a gangster back in the day. He used to know the Cray twins. He used to, your grandparents, and you got these people in your family, they're connected like that. But I never saw anything like that actually growing up in my family. But like me and my brothers, we used to always have these stories like they met my grandfather, but I never met him. They were like, yeah, he was serious. Like, yeah, he was ganged off. They had all these weird, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was involved in like boxing promotions somehow. There was some old picture of like my grandfather with like Muhammad Ali visiting the UK back in the day. So they told me all these stories of like, yeah, you know, he was involved in gangs and all this stuff. So growing up, I always had this thing of like, man, we're like a mob family or something. But then when I got to university, right, I met a bunch of other kids who grew up British, and they I remember one other kid, like I was drunk hanging out with this other kid. He was like, yeah, man, like, you know, my granddad, like he knew the Cray twins, and I was like, yeah, that's what I was told growing up too.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized this was a real thing of like people that's families that came from like South London and stuff, just all these embellished stories of like, because the Cray twins was such a big thing. Hella people, I met different people at university that if they grew up, London's very diverse, you've got people from all over the world, but when you meet people that are, you know, multiple generations from the UK, I swear so many of them are on some shit of like, oh, my granddad was connected, oh, the East End, the gangsters and all that kind of stuff.
It's the same shit in the US. Like anybody in the Northeast, if you got any Italian in you, you hear the same shit. Like this kid's like, oh yeah, you know, we're related to the Gambinos, and we're related to this and that, and everybody just run with it, you know, because everybody wants to have some type of exciting story or whatever it is.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like, I mean, without getting into too many details, it was like there was a lot of there's some crazy shit that went down with my family over the years and like different disputes and stuff. And it was almost like, I almost had me and my brothers almost had this idea of growing up that like, yo, we're gangsters. If something mad happened, like it would be like time to slide. Obviously, we wouldn't say that back in the day, but it'd be like, but there was stuff that happened, and then I feel like maybe when I was like 17, 18, I kind of realized like some shit happened, and you know, not to be facetious about it, but like no one slid. Like some shit happened with the family and nothing happened, and it was kind of like, oh no, we're not gangsters. Like that's just, those are just stories. Like we're just normal people. We're civilians. We're regular people. My dad's got a job. You know, my mum does her, like my bro. We're just normal people. There ain't there ain't really a connection here. We ain't really gangsters. Nothing's happening about that kind of thing. And that was an interesting thing for me to kind of discover, because it was almost like I had these stories growing up, not just the hip hop, but then all these gangster things are almost like, I kind of almost told myself when I was a kid or a teenager that like, almost this like outlaw thinking thing. And then it was like, when I got to like 16, 17, I realized that wasn't true. I kind of grew up of like, oh no, I gotta conduct myself, you know, I don't break the law. I don't really speed when I'm driving. Like I'm super civilian. I'm not trying to take the law into my own hands, or, you know, I used to get in like fights when I was in school and shit. But it's almost like when I became 18, I realized like I can't be out fighting some guy in a nightclub. Like that's the dumbest thing. They could kill me. Like it just, I don't know, it was like a revelation to me of just like that gang stuff for a lot of people is kind of a fantasy thing. And I guess that kind of gave me almost like a bit of a fascination when it came to the hip hop thing of like, well, who's really a gangster? Like 50 got shot, who's really, these guys saying he's a real gangster in the song, he's a fake gangster. You know, there's certain people that you hear about over the years. Someone like Rick Ross has got this embellished personality that's like, oh, he was a CO, or like he wasn't really moving packs, but then it's like he's using his lyrics to paint the picture of this lifestyle. But
yeah, like a drug lord.
Yeah, so it was always an interesting thing for me of like, kind of like what you do, but just in my own personal time of like, I'd listen to a rapper and I'd be like, no, let me get on Google and verify, like, let me look into this guy and see if it's real. We probably came up the same sort of time as well when like the internet was first coming about, right? So I remember being younger, hearing about new rappers being on, I don't know, being on DatPiff and Hot New Hip Hop, or like a bunch of different platforms from back in the day that you'd look up and just look into the hip hop news and like, oh, this guy's done this guy said this, learning about the hip hop stories. Like before Genius.com, be trying to find out what these songs meant and what you know, what's the Supreme Team? What happened to 50 Cent? Like, how did that?
Yeah, and like there wasn't really any YouTube shit covering it. So when you heard this rapper did that, that was it. there was nobody that was really like fact checking it. So we just went with like, all right, he's a fucking grave digger.
Yeah.
He's a bitch. And it was just, that's what it was, you know? So it's like.
And when you're a kid as well, it's almost like you listen to the music, you don't really question, you're like, why would he lie? This guy's saying he's done this or that. I believe it. And then you kind of grow up and then you realize like the world's a bit more complicated. Like I was almost kind of sold a lie about my family being mad gangsters.
Right.
And then just kind of realizing like, okay, like, you know, a lot of people say they're gangsters and are they really? Like, am I?
Well, that's a great point because it was only rappers calling out other rappers. 50 Cent was saying Ja Rule ain't like that, you know? But now, in today's day and age, you don't have to be a rapper to do that. You'll get called out by me, you, or anyone else that's willing to take a deep dive into their situation, and it kind of just fucking exposes everything.
Yeah.
Now, with you looking into hip-hop, obviously, you're starting to get views off of these situations. What is your impression of like the U.S. at this time? Because you're looking up these crazy stories and these gangster rappers. Like, what are you thinking about us over here, just in general?
That's such a good question, right? So when I started doing this stuff, the funny thing is that Jay-Z shooting his brother at 12 thing, I actually didn't realize at the time that it was the violent element that had made it popular. Because after that, I did the video on Rick Ross and 50 Cent's back and forth. And that wasn't a gang story, that wasn't violent, but that ended up going super viral, more than the Jay-Z thing.
Right.
So it took me a while to realize that the violent element was this almost like a multiplier of people's interest in the story. Because then I did the Frank Ocean, Def Jam, label dispute, and that did numbers. But then I did a video on kind of UK drill gangster rappers, because like at the time when I moved out of Bognor Regis, I moved back to London to an area that was kind of like a known, affiliated with a certain gang in South London, right? And this was before I was really doing anything on YouTube, but like I would listen to the local drill rappers' music, and I would come home from like work days and like there'd be a street taped off, and then before I know it, I'd be on Google working out, listening to the song, working out what happened in my neighborhood, way before I even considered doing a video about it, right? But it was like, I was kind of like just doing random stuff about stuff I was interested in. When I moved out of the area, I eventually did a video about the drill beef and the stuff that was going on in the UK. Right. I did a video about UK drill culture, but I was always just more into US music. Like growing up, I was listening to 50 Cent, Jay-Z. I mean, we had a lot of good rappers that I would listen to, like underground rappers growing up. There was a guy like Skinny Man and Jest, or like these guys called Mark B and Blade back in the day. All different types of rap that like UK rap was interesting and it was personal, but really the American stuff was exciting to me. Like it was like the 50 Cent and the Jay-Z, the superheroes. Like Jay-Z, like man, came from the Marcy Projects and like became a multi-millionaire. Like this is a real inspiring success story for me. Right. But at the same time, I think everyone in the UK has this idea of like, yo, America, they got guns. It's crazy over there. Because yeah, there's guns here and there in the UK and people got knives, but it's this mentality of like, English people are mad. The amount of English people that don't want to go to America because of the guns. Like middle-class English women will be like, I don't want to go to America. The guns, there's guns everywhere. I'll get shot up. There's school shootings, all of this stuff. Yeah. And to be fair, there do be guns over here, but it's not.
Bro, like even when I'm playing, like if I'm on the game online, like Call of Duty, and there's some fucking British kids, the first thing they do is like, oh yeah, y'all are school shooters, and like that's what they talk shit about.
That's what everyone thinks though. Bro, people, I mean, it's funny to me because it's like I come over here and do work and shit, and the amount of people that say to me like, be careful, like don't get shot, and they really, obviously, yeah, you do have to be careful out here, but it's like, they act like you damn near just there's just drive-bys at the airport on arrival and shit. Like
everywhere is like fucking Chicago.
They're just ducking bullets everywhere you go, but it's not like that. But people have this idea. And I probably felt like that as well. Like you just feel like, bro, these American stories are different. Like real gangster rap in the UK didn't really hit the mainstream until like, I want to say like 2019. Like we had road rap, which was like gangster rap from like the 2000s and the 2010s, but it was never a mainstream thing that everyone was into. Like artists like Gigs and stuff back in the day, like you knew like he had a gun case and he was serious, but that wasn't like mainstream culture. Not everyone was listening to that. Whereas like now, we've got #1 songs that are like drill songs about, the first drill #1 song was a song called Body, and it's kind of like about girls having a nice body but catching bodies, and like it's this whole thing. So it's like everything in America just seemed way more serious, and I would say probably I'd listen to like 80% American rap and 20% English rap at the time. So that's reflected on my channel. I'll do a little UK story here and there. I did a Swedish story. I did a video about an Indian gangster rapper, but like 80% of it is American, because that's just what I'm into. It's not about like I'm chasing the clout. Like I listen to that shit all the time. I listen to Chicago music nonstop. So.
Well, no, I've dove into some UK drill. I forget exactly what his name is, but he wears like demon masks. And there was one song. He says something along the lines of what I did that day.
Oh, this is Lucci, yeah.
I splashed him down, I felt his bones. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, because it just took me back to when I was in prison. Like, that's a real thing. Like, people would get hit with pokers and it would dull the poker when you hit their bone. And you would hit something that feels, you know? So when he said that, I was like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Because only a motherfucker that did it really actually knows, like, yeah, you smack bones and fucks the shit up, you know? I was like, oh, that shit gangster. Like, he with it. Now, one thing I noticed, though, is everyone's masked up. And apparently, just being in certain music videos, you can get arrested and shit like that. So for you, when you start covering people over there who's obviously, for legal purposes, their identity needs to be concealed, and I'm sure they're not really trying to get talked about too much.
True.
At what point did it become dangerous for you speaking on them?
Yeah, I had a couple situations, to be honest, man. Like, literally, that thing I just told you about where I lived in this area, like, I lived in an area, I basically lived in an area that was basically between two gangs. Like, there was, like, one gang on one side called, like, 410. Right, they lived right by where I lived. Like, the block I lived in was, like, one of their blocks, basically. But it weren't too, it was kind of getting gentrified. And then there was another crew called Moscow 17. And then there was another crew of real dangerous guys from Peckham called Zone 2. And so, like, I lived in that area and I would see little things going on and I would read about it in the news. That was like 2018. And then when the channel took off and I moved out the area, maybe like 2021, I made a video on that area. And like, there was stuff I found out that I didn't put in the video. Like, that always be happening of like, I'll find some stuff and I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to put that in.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go that far.
especially when you live there.
Yeah, exactly. But like, even after that, it's like, you know, there was a guy that was like a notorious alleged shooter for this crew, right? And like, you know, he just like posted some mad ominous picture of me on Snapchat. And like, when that video dropped, like quite a few of those guys were kind of saying little things about me. One of them was saying that I'm a Fed and posting that I'm a snitch and a Fed and stuff. And then like the UK blog pages like picked that up and were like, oh, Ross has been exposed for being a Fed by this one rapper. And so like, that was kind of like my first thing where I was like, oh, that's kind of close to home. But at the same time, I didn't really want to let people intimidate me. So I did a video about a bunch of London gang rappers in February. And like, I had a little issue with a guy that like really, he wasn't the main guy I was talking about in the story, but he had a case and was low key not around. Like, how can I put this? Like, he was out the country basically, but there was all this stuff that had gone on, but it's like all over Reddit, there's hella other videos about it. And I was like, at the time, I was being kind of loose. I would post on Instagram like, yo, I got a video about this thing coming. And so that was dumb. I don't do that anymore. But like, they found out that I was doing a video that was going to talk about their situation. And then they hit me up kind of pressing me, being like, yo, you shouldn't do that. And it kind of became a bit of a back and forth. And it was a thing of me of like, I didn't want to back down and be like, I'm just gonna get pressed and not talk about it. Because I said to the guy, I was like, bro, you're the top 3 most famous drill rapper coming out of this area. If I don't talk about you, people are gonna think I ain't done my homework. So I can't not talk about
like
you.
On a professional level, like I have to, but in a common sense level, you know, because most of this communication happened like over the phone.
There's an Instagram and a phone call, yeah.
Do you think if you ran into them in person, it might have went different?
Well, here's the funny thing, right? So it's like, we went back and forth and I was like, look, I can't not talk about you. It's just, people are gonna think I don't know what I'm talking about if I don't mention you, because you're a big part of this. But what I did, because the video wasn't mainly about him, so I kind of toned it down and I was kind of like, well, look, I don't need to bring this up. And like, this is interesting, but it's not really relevant to the story. So like, I'm just not gonna mention some of this stuff here. It don't do nothing for me to mention it, even though it's interesting and I found it out and other people are talking about it. So I kind of toned it down and then we went back and forth and squashed it. And I ended up actually meeting up with him in somewhere and we did an interview, but it didn't come out. And it was just kind of like, we squashed it, but it's just a funny thing of, it's almost like, I think in the heat of the moment, and there's a lot, you know, I think people want to be tough and press you and shut certain things down. But then I think over time, especially when something drops and it raises someone's profile, they kind of realize like, oh, okay, this is actually a look for me.
They see the benefit of it.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, okay, like, how can I use this?
Do you feel that, you know, because like you just said, professionally, you want to give the fans what they want, but when you build a relationship with these actual people and it's like, all right, you know what, I can leave a couple things out, we can make this work to where it's 50-50. Do you feel at that point you're somewhat gaining a respect level with these rappers that's gonna further your career, but then keep the danger at bay because you're not putting too much shit out.
It's difficult because I think on the one hand, in that scenario, it was like, I feel like my dedication is to serve the audience and to serve the research. Like my goal is to be a fact finder. I'm trying to spread the truth. I'm not trying to expose people. I'm not trying to like ruin anyone's life. I don't, like if I find some shit that's completely off the beaten track, look, I went through a period of people DMing me like, oh, you want to know this about this person. I actually don't want to know it. If it's not on Google, if I can't find it, like I find shit that's hard to find, but if it's not out there, I don't want to bring something that was in the shadows that no one knows about to the table.
No, I'm 100%. So my whole thing was, look, I don't care if you know he killed him. If the paperwork doesn't fucking say it, I don't want to say it because whatever the paperwork says is what I can speak on. That's my comfort zone. Because whatever the paperwork says is what the police already knows. So you giving me the inside scoop of when I lived in a certain area in Boston, they wanted me to cover a rap war that was going on. I knew personally 2 people that were killed, one on each side. I don't want to speak on this shit because I know things that the feds might know, the feds might not know, and I don't want to bridge that gap. So I completely stayed away from the situation. So that's the same thing for me, is if it wasn't in the paperwork, I'm all set. I don't want to fucking know it.
For real. And I like doing research. Like research is actually my thing. I like using different methods to find information that's on Google or using Reddit. And I'm not someone that's just reckless. Like I'm not just spreading Reddit rumors as if they're true, but it's like, you know, I might make a video and be like, look, there's a dozen posts about this with 100 comments on it saying that he did this, he did that, he did that. Why can't I talk about that? You've got thousands of people over here looking at this thing and I can't provide a little bit of analysis. And my thing is, it's like, I'm trying to take all this information that's out there and give you a very intelligent and responsible walkthrough of all of the information that's out there. What I'm not trying to do is find some shit that you wouldn't, like, I'm not tapping people's phones. When people DM me, my DMs are turned off now. You can't DM me if we're not already logged in, right? But like, I'm on some shit of like, I don't want to know some secret expose information about someone. I'm trying to find what's out there publicly. I'm trying to tell a story in a way that you can understand and follow and feel for people too.
Right.
And like, that's my responsibility, is to the audience and to the truth. Like I'm all about the truth. And that's why it's like, when I took some of that stuff out of the video for that guy, I felt like to remove his section completely and not talk about this guy, I didn't feel like that would be the truth of the situation or the history of this area. But I felt like, well, removing these couple of pointers, they don't really contribute to the overall message of this video. So I'm not letting myself down by taking those things out.
Right.
But I think the interesting thing for me is it's like, the stuff that I think's really hurt people's feelings is like hearing some harsh truths. You know, obviously the thing I'm most known for is the King Von thing, right? And it's like, it's so bizarre to me that the amount of people that really went hard at me to be like, oh, you don't know that he killed those 7 people. You can't prove that. And I'm like, bro, Von said it. Like Von said it. There's 2-3 songs where he says, I got 7 bodies. I got this, I got that.
Well, let's...
All the tweets. Like, it's like, bro,
that,
I found that is the truth.
With that right there, the King Von documentary that you dropped, that propelled your fucking channel and that really solidified your name. Not just on YouTube, but in hip hop in general. That got all fucking eyes on you. Now, I've said it to everybody. I feel like if there's some type of YouTube awards or whatever the fuck, you deserve one for that.
Wow.
That documentary was fire. And I've always defended you for anybody that had anything negative to say about it, you know? But that right there, when you dropped that, obviously there was a overwhelming amount of work you had to put in to put that piece together. Learning everything that you did, putting it all together, running through it, what did you feel before you actually posted it, and how did you feel that people would react?
Man, yeah, it's crazy to look back at it. You know, I appreciate everything you just said, because it's like, for me, like I said a minute ago, like my dedication's to the truth. And that video, that wasn't some clout chasing shit. That was like, I'm a huge fan of Von. I've got a tattoo of King Von. Von is so relevant when it comes to drill music, gangster rap. Like this is the poster child for this modern era of like violent drill. We catch bodies, like for better or for worse. I felt like it was one of the most important stories in hip hop history in this era. Like him and Youngboy and Dirk and Quando, that's like Tupac, Biggie going on right now in this era. Right. So I felt like I spent probably 3 months researching that, to the point where it was like, I needed to do this story justice. And it's funny now looking back that it was a huge success, because at the time, that was like 2 years after King Von had passed. Not to disrespect, but his name wasn't necessarily buzzing at that specific moment in hip hop. I was feeling like, I don't know if people are really going to even be interested in hearing about all this. But I felt like I had to speak to the truth of like, I read all of his tweets. I listened to every song and read every lyric one by one and really thought about what was going on. I watched every interview, every IG live, anything that guy put out there publicly. I consumed it and analyzed it and thought about what it meant to the overall picture. And I put that all into one video. So for me, like what I was really trying to achieve with that was just a comprehensive view of this guy that, you know, he like Von's life and what Von was is like a metaphor for like the overall Chicago drill culture nowadays of like, we want to catch the most bodies, we want to brag about it, we want to tell everyone. He was tweeting about bodies after he was catching them. And that's just fact. And all the people that came at me, that a lot of people didn't even watch it and they just wanted to come at me maybe for some clout or just to hate. But like, it was undeniable. And I didn't set out. This is the funniest thing. I was like, I'm going to do a full King Von life story documentary. I think a lot of people think, oh, you tried to put this serial killer jacket on him from the start. The idea of calling it King Von's rap's first serial killer didn't come until I was probably halfway through. I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video where I'm going to once and for all say, truth or cap, did King Von have the 7 bodies he talked about? And I looked into it. And at a certain point, once I got to about 3 or 4 of them and I was reading all of his tweets, and I'm like, he tweeted after nearly every murder. I was like, damn. It's looking like 3, it's looking like 4. Shit, it's looking like 6. Yeah. And then I was like, is this guy a serial killer? I looked into the FBI's definition of a serial killer. I'm reading it, I'm like, bro, he's ticking these boxes.
Fucking adds up.
And like, that's when I had the idea of like, that's the focus of the video, that's the title of the video. But I didn't set out to do that, but it's like, when I laid it all out, it was just very apparent to me that that's what had gone on. And, you know, shit went how it went.
Well, I got a deep question for you. I think you were spot on with the serial killer title. You know, that's might have pissed people off. I don't see how, because that's everything he wanted to be.
Facts.
So let me ask you, if Von watched your documentary, knowing that he projected all of these things himself, do you feel like he would approve of everything you said of him?
That's a great question. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. When Von was still alive and he was still doing a lot of numbers in like early 2020, probably like just after Took Her to the O came out, I can't take the credit. First person to do a good King Von video was Trap Geek. He did a video on King Von called The Soft Spoken Assassin. This was back when the YouTube gang documentaries would be like 10, 15 minute video. That would be good, right? And so he did that, and I ended up doing a couple of King Von videos like maybe a few months later, just on some shit of like, I learned more about him. I was fascinated in him. When I did those videos about him, I ended up having a back and forth with his team. Those videos ended up getting taken down. They were trying to strike my channel, right? So that's like an old throwback story of me and Von. But at the time, when the Trap Geek video first came out, he posted some shit on his Instagram of him in a fresh fit with the caption, The Soft Spoken Assassin. So you could tell he was liking that shit. So I think he would have loved it. And like when I, like later on, a little bit more time had passed, I remember he put out some tweet before he died that was like, don't listen to what these white boys on YouTube are saying, like, I'm a nice guy or something. And it was kind of that thing of like, he was having fun with it, but the fact that he took the soft-spoken assassin thing that Trap Geek came up with and used it as his own caption, like trolling, I think he liked it. I think if Von was still alive, he'd probably have a couple of these bodies on him. He'd have probably got wrapped up in the duck thing, and he'd probably be in jail like one of these famous serial killers, doing interviews and shining and being an infamous gang serial killer, to be honest. So I think you would have liked that shit. And the thing that I always love to say to people, right? When people come to me and they say, oh, that's capping, you're putting bodies on, you're putting serial killer jacket on Von. It ain't like that. You're misrepresenting him. I'm like, bro, if Von was here in this room and you told him he wasn't a killer, he'd slap you.
That's a fact. And that's the same shit I be telling people. I feel like, you know, wherever he's at, heaven, hell, or whatever people believe in, if he sat down and watched that, I just feel like he'd have that evil ass smile.
He'd be like, I did that shit.
He'd just be like, yeah.
Yeah, stood on that.
Because that's who he was, that's who he wanted to be, and he left that behind. And I feel like that's also people's fascination with him.
Well, he was that till the end as well, right? You know, it's unfortunate, right? But the way he went out trying to apply pressure to someone, unfortunately, it went wrong, right?
That's a perfect thing to bring up. As gangster as he was, because nobody can take that away from him, how disappointing was the way he died?
You know what? Like, I mean, we had a conversation the other night about religion, and you know, I was kind of saying, look, I definitely believe things happen for a reason, and there's higher powers that we can understand, and I think there's some mad, no disrespect, but like some mad, messed up poetic justice in the fact that Von went out on camera in a crazy way, the same way that he had made fun of so many people before him, the way that FBG Duck got lined up and shot in public on camera, the way that other people in Chicago that he had made fun of, filming the bus stop after Lil Mark got killed. Like, the way Von went out, ironically, was nothing to do with that Chicago shit, but it went down in some Chicago-type fashion, on camera, just a brutal shooting. But, you know, it's the same thing I said to Vlad, is like, unfortunately, Von underestimated those guys, you know, thinking, yeah, Quando's just a rapper from Savannah or whatever. But, you know, as I broke down in the video I did about Quando's crew, they get busy in Savannah. Those rolling 60s in Savannah, they're not a joke. And he underestimated, you know, that crew and Quando and Tim that night. And unfortunately, as Quando said in a lyric a couple of years later, like, you know, these guys from Chicago, they think they're the only killers in America, but Savannah's got killers, you know? And it's mad ironic and like mystical the way that Von went out. And you know, you got that guy Slutty and Louis, they try and shoot Tim and they can't. Like, a lot of people have said about that footage. I see a lot of comments on Reddit under that footage of like, this is proof there's a God. God wanted King Von. That was the end of the line for King Von that night. And Lil Tim, this is super trolling, but it's like Charleston White, I think there's a post where he's calling Lil Tim the demon slayer and saying that, you know, the hand of God was controlling Tim that night. Now that's pretty out there, but it's like, the way that all went down was like some stranger than fiction, mystical, higher power type stuff. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it was meant to go. It went how you know, the universe wanted it to go. And unfortunately, everything that's unfolded afterwards has been a consequence and a chain reaction of what happened that day. But like I said before, that Von situation, that's like the Tupac murder for this generation of music, you know? And it's like, it's stuff that people are going to be debating and talking about for 20 years. Yeah, we're still talking about the Tupac murder now.
He fucking, King Von literally set the standard for the new gangster rapper. And I mean, it's sad to say, but there's a lot of people already trying to be him and dying shortly after. Lil Jeff being a perfect example.
Yeah, the Lil Jeff one's interesting because it's like, you could tell, you know, there's the whole part where it's like, oh, he kind of jumped off the porch late. He was making up for lost time. He was kind of overdoing it in the streets. But it's like, that just goes to show you, you know, Chicago is such a treacherous place that you can rack up damn near allegedly 11 bodies in Jeff's case in a short space of time, in places where, you know, a lot of the murders aren't getting caught on camera. They're not getting solved. You know, people say Chicago, they don't really care what's going on. If you kill them in the hood, they don't give a shit. Yeah. So it's an interesting one to look at that and how quickly that came about, but then how quickly he ended up losing his life, right? It was probably only a few months that he was getting the 10 teardrop tattoos that we're then seeing him die on camera. And again, it's another one on camera, which is just the craziest thing. I was saying to you the other night, like, feels like in this era now with the drill rappers, you're lucky if you're not dying on camera.
Yeah. I mean, and then the connection between him and the things he was doing, the video of the teenagers in front of the school, watching them die on camera.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think of it this way. You know, like when soldiers go into combat, they might have a 6-month deployment. And 6 months in that war zone, they might kill a shitload of people. So when you live in a war zone, it's not like, you know, we got to drive over here and take a helicopter. No, you wake up and you're in there.
Yeah.
So for somebody like Lil Jeff, it's not hard to jump off the porch and just dive right into this shit. But it also shows you how fast you can get taken right out. Now, what was the inspiration and what was really the driving force that got you to get the King Von tattoo?
It's funny, man. So I had one tattoo that I got years ago and it was trash. I never liked it. I got it when I was 20. It was garbage. And I always wanted to get it fixed and something put over it or something better done with it. But I never had any ideas. And I was going back and forth with a tattoo artist to just like, yo, look, it's fine. It's time for me. I got that tat when I was 20. I hated it for 10 years. I turned 30. I was like, we're fixing this. I'm not doing 10 years with this tattoo I hate. And I went back and forth. I was like, what should I get? And then someone was like, I can't remember who it was. It might have been my homie Honcho. It might have been someone else. But they were like, what about a Von tat? And I was like, yeah, like, because not only am I a huge fan of Von, I listen to Von's music all the time. You throw Back Again on, I'm going crazy. Like, that music charges me up, for better or for worse. I know it's murder music and it's negative, but bro, if I'm at the gym, I'm trying to hear King Von and I'm trying to get my aggression out. Like, that shit takes over you, takes control of you, and I love Von's music. No one did it like him. You know, in that short time, that catalog of like 3-4 albums that he was able to put together is unmatched. And then the fact that King Von has been a big part of my story, like, you know, I'll keep it real. Von changed my life. really, covering him, the culture around him, even just the fact that how much that I enjoyed his music is a big part of my life. Like, you know what it's like when certain songs that you listen to in certain parts of your life when a lot of shit's going on, like when that song comes on now, it takes you back. Like, bear in mind, when I did the Von video, you know, I'm listening to all of his projects back to back on repeat, really immersing myself into it. So that music really affects me on a deep level. So I was like, man, it's gonna be a Von tattoo. And I was just excited to get it because I was like, I don't think anything represents me. Because my old tattoo didn't really represent who I was. And I felt like, bro, that actually is who I'm about. I'm the guy that did the research into King Von. And I got that tattoo done, man. It took like 4 hours. I listened to all of Von's music while I was getting it done. I got through literally, you know what's crazy is like, I started at Grandson Volume 1, listened through all of King Von's projects and like features and songs. And I finished the tattoo and I kept listening in the car, and I swear, like the last Von song of the last album finished like as I was pulling into the driveway or some shit. It was crazy, but like, I was really sitting there listening to Von, getting the Von tattoo. People are gonna think I'm crazy obsessed. It is what it is though, man. Like, that guy, what he represents is just a huge part of my story, bro. And I'm never gonna escape that. And I think the tattoo's sick, to be honest.
I do too. Now, how many skulls are on that tattoo?
Hey, you know there's 7 skulls on that tattoo, man.
Do you think that might have been better left out? Do you think that it's a tribute to him? Do you think that it's disrespectful in any way?
A lot of people have commented that like, oh, the skulls, this is too much. Like, oh, it's disrespectful. But for me, it's like not that King Von's not a good rapper. We love King Von's music. He was very talented. He's not King Von without the murders. He's not the most poppin' drill rapper. Yo, he's the realest. The whole thing, when Von was alive, you'd throw the songs on, you'd be like, yo, this is Von. He's the real, he really, you see him on that Breakfast Club interview with Dirk. He's talking about, yeah, I got body in 2 attempts. It was always about the murders.
Right.
Him and the murders are hand in hand. It's inextricably linked. So I felt like the tattoo needed to have the skulls. It's subtle. I've not got the faces of the people that got murdered, but like I felt like that's part of the story.
It's like Scream without the knife.
Right? Like you can't talk about Von without talking about the murders. There is no, not that, Von's music doesn't do what it does without the murders. I mean, I talk about it in the video. I think one of Von's first songs that he released, I don't know if it was Problems or something else, but like that ended up doing like 100K in a day or two. And even Von's on Twitter like, yo, something's got, how am I getting 100K? But it's like, bro, that's how, because everyone in that neighborhood knows what you did and you're out here rapping now. That shit was already a cheat code. Right. So him and the murders are inexplicably linked. From the very start, it was always like, oh, this is the new guy Von. Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, but you know what he did. And then suddenly the interest level is tuned up to a whole other degree. So I'll be honest, that's why I got the skulls. Not that I wouldn't get it without the skulls, but the skulls is part of the story, and I'm the guy that broke down the skulls. And definitely. That is what it is, unfortunately. And it's like Von himself would always troll. There's one thing of like, there was a famous post where he had the Grandson for President music video and he was promoting it, and he put up an IG story of like the music video with just 7 skull emojis, like some comment of like, yeah, now you know, or like everyone keeps asking. And it's like he was always putting skulls out there to like be like, oh, that's 7 skulls, like 3 + 4. So that's part of the story and it's part of the tattoo, and like I stand on that. It's not a disrespect, like at all. That's the story.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Aside from Von, because I feel like you would choose him, what murder in hip hop affected you on a personal level, or the most at least, that you actually felt it when it happened?
Fulio, for sure.
Fulio?
Because I did the War in Jacksonville video around the time Who I Smoke came out, which is funny because it's like, the Von video has been a huge success. It's got over 10 million views, which is, I never would have even imagined a video would get that kind of views. But like, before that, my finest moment was the Jacksonville video. That would probably hit like 7-8 million views, right? After Who I Smoke came out, Who I Smoke, everyone was trying to work out, who are these guys? Are they real people? Is that real stuff? And it's same as the King Von thing. It was an opportunity of like, Von says he got 7 bodies. Well, who are they? Let's find out. The same thing with the Who I Smoke thing. Who I Smoke, Bibby. Okay, who's Bibby? Who's Lil 9? Who's Tiki? There was a 2-hour video, and that's when I started doing the longer videos. So that Jacksonville video was a huge kind of rise for me. And then obviously Fulio dropped the When I See You, holding up the placard of the three dead guys, you know, Ace's homies and his brother. And it was like, well, who are these guys? My goal was to break that down in a responsible way. And I always try and end my video with like a responsible message, a responsible tone. I know you do the same thing, and I really admire that. And it's like, you know, I end that talking about, look, the violence got stopped. Like, I don't know what the city needs to get over this stuff, but like, these guys are successful rappers now, and they really need to stay out of this. Not that I think me saying that is going to stop anyone from doing anything, right? But like, I liked Fulio. I never got a chance to meet him, but like, you know, I know Adam and Remo spent time with him. I think, do you ever meet up with him or?
I never met him, but he was one of the first rappers that actually shout me out. And, you know, we, just a few messages back and forth, but around the time that he got killed, I wanted to reach out to him and interview him while he was in Tampa. The club that he left, Truth 18, I've actually been to a few times. I know people that know the owner. I knew the area that he was in. And it's crazy because had we been in contact that night, I could have asked him, why the fuck are you over here?
Yeah.
You know, and not that long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, unintentionally just driving through Tampa, I drove right past the hotel that he got killed at.
Man.
So I literally just drove and looked at it and was like, fuck, that's where everything ended at right there.
Man, on the Fulio thing, like, because I became a big fan of his music and his personality, man. He had a crazy energy about him. Like, I really liked his personality. I felt like his music was very energizing. You know, it's not all violent music. He's got that one song, what was it, Whip Bump? It's like more of like a dance song, and it's like, he had the talent to get out of that. I remember there was a song of Fulio's from way before I even knew about the gang stuff. I think it was called Generation 6 or something. Like, of that song Voodoo, like I'd heard bits of Fulio before I even knew about the beef.
Voodoo's tough to listen to now.
Yeah, man, and there's so many little lyrics of his over the years that just...
It's like he knew.
He definitely did know, and I think that it's unfortunate because it's like he's another person that should have got out of Jacksonville and should have got out of that situation. People telling, even Remo at the end of that last interview on No Jumper, he's like, bro, please stay out of Jacksonville. And like, you know, I swear he's got a foot cast on. He'd been shot in the foot during that, like before that interview.
Yeah.
And that he was still moving around that way. But I'll be honest with you, bro, and this is something we're going to talk about. Like around that time happening, like, I've got an autographed Fulio picture on my wall at home. I fucked with Fulio. And like, when I see that picture of him in the back seat, because there's the 4K footage that came out of him getting shot. There's like one picture that was going around on Reddit of him. He's like face down in the back seat, and that shit hurt me. That really haunted me, like, because I was just such a fan of him. I really was hoping he would go the distance. And I remember seeing that. You know what it's like. Sometimes you follow all these gang subreddits. Sometimes you see some shit you weren't really ready to see. I remember just seeing that after hearing about that news, just seeing him, and just shit haunted me. I've seen a lot of that shit on the internet, but it was just like being such a fan of him, I got his picture on my wall, like. That one really stuck with me. That one really kept me up at night, and I felt mad upset, like, after seeing that and like seeing how he went out, and just thinking about like, obviously like, just how different it could have gone, and like what a waste of talent and potential that was for him to go out that way, man. And so these little things really stick with me, and I feel like sometimes people really act like I'm mad ghoulish, like, you know, you just. Oh, you know, you'll be so happy when a rapper gets killed so you can make a video about it. Bro, I'm not happy. I was mad depressed after Fulio got killed. Like, that was like some shit that really sat with me just for days. I'm just sat on the couch like, fuck, man. Like, it's not surprising because you know what the life these guys are living, but for it to actually unfold, if it's some shit that you know is going to happen, but then the day it happens, you're like, man. Yeah. And then you see the picture, shit affects you for sure. Like,
well, that brings me to what I initially told you I definitely wanted to talk about, that I think a lot of people don't understand. For me, one of the things that fucked me up was young Dolph.
Yeah, man.
When Dolph got murdered, it wasn't just the shooting. It wasn't, you know, you see his hand hanging out the window. It's the fucking autopsy report. Duck, the autopsy report. When you see how many locations they got hit, and then you try to imagine getting hit with a fucking Draco, getting hit with a Glock so many fucking times. I mean, Dolph got hit in the chin. He got everywhere he got hit. They say Duck's last words was something along the lines of, are you hit? Where'd you get hit? And all he could say was everywhere. When you think about somebody's body shutting down, you know, if the lungs get pierced, they fill up with blood, you choke, you drown in your own blood. The way that a lot of these dudes die, it's not fast, it's slow, it's fucking painful. And the fact that we have to do the research to be able to present and tell people how it is that they went out, how does it affect you mentally when a lot of the content we cover is consumed by death?
It's messed up, man. The Duck one's one that really sticks with me because he's bleeding out on the floor. I think there's a video someone filmed of him on the floor, and I swear it's like 8 or 15 minutes long. They're filming the whole, you're seeing him there, he's kicking his legs and shit. Like, that really, really stuck with me, that one. And I'll be honest with you, bro, like, look, I can't say I've had homies killed. That's not something that's happened to me. But when I was younger, maybe when I was like 4 or 5, like a really close family friend of ours died. I didn't really understand what death was at the time. And I feel like ever since then, I've had a really difficult relationship with death. Like I'm actually very scared of death. It's like very scary and daunting. And I think this line of work, it's tough, man, because I sometimes find myself almost like obsessed, and not in a good way, with death. Maybe it's twisted, but that duck shit, it's a thought. It's like an intrusive thought that I can't control. I'm not sat there dreaming this on purpose, but it's like, sometimes I find myself, I can't stop thinking about it, of like imagining being him in that scenario. You're laying on the floor, you're shot, you're thinking, I fucking hope I survive this, and you don't. And at what point do you realize you ain't survived it? Do you even realize that all this shit sticks with me, man? It drives me fucking crazy sometimes, bro. It's not easy, like what we have to do in this job we do. And don't get me wrong, I feel like this job, what I'm doing, is what I was put here to do, to bring sense and like sensibility to this messed up culture. That's what I was put here to do. I don't know how I ended up here from a small town doing what I'm doing with millions of people watching, but like that's the way the cookie crumbled. But it's like the toll that it takes on you. I'd be dreaming about death, I'd be dreaming about rappers getting killed, seeing all this footage. It's more and more of it's on camera. I mean, the Von shit, I've thought a million times about the Von stuff, because I've heard stories that he was talking in the car, talking about, I don't know if it's true, but I think there was one rumor that like he was in the car with them and he was like, yo, how'd you let them get me? Like some shit like that. I don't know if that's true. It could be bullshit, but like,
it's just the thought of what if, like.
But like, what does that feel like? Like, I ain't really had many brushes with death. Like I've been sick before, gone to the hospital, been in situations, oh fuck, I think I'm gonna die. But like, bro, I always imagine being in those scenarios, what that feels like to get shot. Even in London, there's a lot of drill rappers that have been stabbed, died on camera getting stabbed, or even the Draco shit. We've seen Draco laid out on the floor, bleeding from his neck.
Yeah.
I was a big Draco fan. I was talking to Draco about doing an in-person documentary with him before he passed. And then like seeing that shit, I was a huge fan. And you just, maybe not everyone is fucked up like I am, but I see that shit and I almost teleport into their body and think like, bro, what was that like? What was he seeing?
No, I do the same thing. I try to run it through my head, like what the fuck would those last moments feel like before everything just fades to black? Like, have you ever had surgery?
Yeah, man, that's scary. When you go under, bro, because
under, because that's what I imagine it's like.
You're like, is that it? Am I waking up?
Slowly close your eyes, and then am I gonna wake up? And Duck, he died in surgery. Draco got hit in the neck. When you leak out like that, bro, it's the same shit as fainting. You lose that much blood, you just go out.
Yeah, I imagine
it just becomes like, am I gonna wake up?
Yeah.
How much pain was Fulio in when he's got all this fucking heat coming out of his chest and you can't move? You same shit with Vaughn. You could see Vaughn's body stiffened up, and it's like a lot of fans build a personal connection with the rappers through the music. I feel like it's the same for us. Even if it's not somebody that we just listen to, you build a personal connection through this person's story. It could be anything. Like, I've covered random crime before. I covered a situation that was recent where a guy killed his sister and her 2-year-old daughter. I'm looking into I gotta learn about the sister. I gotta learn about this kid. I gotta hear about how she was such a nice little girl, and what the fuck would possess you to stab her to death. And then as you're covered in their blood, you just go to sleep on the couch, and that's how the police find you. And you build a connection with this shit, and it's like, as much as you feel for people, you also have to somewhat build up a wall and disconnect from it, because if you feel too much, it's fucked me up to where I've taken a break from YouTube. It's even talking about the prison content, I started having dreams reliving these things. I've said this before, your brain can't imagine what it hasn't experienced. So for us as men, we didn't have sex dreams until we had sex. Like, you might have a dream about a girl, but before she shows you her titties, you wake up or it turns into something else. But once you fucked, you can have these visual dreams of doing the same thing. Once you've experienced extreme violence, you can see it in your dreams. And I would have dreams where I'm getting stabbed repeatedly, or I'm doing something to somebody, and I don't want to be dreaming this, but I'm seeing it. Not only am I seeing it, I got slashed in prison. The blood was everywhere. I slept in the blood because the COs didn't let me change my uniform. So I smell this metallic smell. So when I dream about these things, not only do I see it, not only do I feel it, I fucking smell it. And that's what fucks me up the most, is how visual and how realistic these things are. So with dealing with a lot of this shit, it's like, I know I have PTSD from shit I've been through, and it kind of reactivates that. But how do you deal with the mental aspect of covering what you cover?
Man, I don't know if I could say I do deal with it. You know, I deal with it in the sense that I just keep going because like I say, I think this is what I was put here for. You know, I haven't had as many of the experiences as you've had, but I'm mad affected by this shit. And like, honestly, like I feel like I get so many intrusive thoughts. You know, it's just dumb shit. Like, bro, we be backstage at an event and like I might just have a little thought of just like, bro, what if the wrong person comes in and just shoot us all up and I'm just dead, and I'm living that in my head. I don't want to be thinking that just comes through. Or in London, it's like you see a bad kid with a shiesty, you're in the wrong area, you got a nice watch on, you're thinking, bro, if he just robs me now and fucking shanks me in the chest, I'm just leaking out my chest. You're living that shit in your head. It is like some PTSD type shit, and I have no control over it. And like, you know, I've spent some time, like I've done some therapy, and like, you know, I try and just like get away from that shit when I can. Sometimes it's like, I'll cover a story that's not violent because I do need a break from it. I'll be like, look, I want to keep working, but like, that's when you might catch me doing a video about Kim and Kanye's divorce, or like the Eminem and Kim marriage, or like Eminem's beef with his mom. Like, there's times when I'll just be like, bro, I can't do another gang story. I don't even care if it's not going to do views. I'm going to do something different this month. Yeah. Because I can't, like, I think after the Von thing, like, that was a tough time because it was just so much. Like, when I tell you what one was bad, when I did the story of 600, the 6-hour video about Tay Capone and LA Capone, and it's just so much death. I don't know if there's a story with so much death. Yeah. And like, it's so brutal. I mean, the thing that really gets in my head recently, I just did something about FBG Cash, of like, yeah, they shot up his car and then he ran out and then they stood over him. The idea of like someone standing over you, just shooting you in the face and shit is just like, well, that guy Mad Max from No Limit and shit, just like getting shot up and then being in the hospital for like a month.
And then still dying.
And then still dying and like thinking, oh, am I gonna make it? You're like in purgatory. Bro, it's just, it affects me mentally
Makes
massively.
me wanna be fucking Kai Cenat or something and just do completely other shit. Like,
for real.
Fuck, let me do travel vlogs or something. This shit sucks.
Bro, that's what I'm saying though, but it's like, you know, we were put here, we ended up in this position for a reason, and that's unfortunately, I guess, like a burden that we got to carry if this is what we want to do. And in a lot of ways, I wonder if it's too late, in the sense that like, I'm consumed by death now, is what it is. But like,
well, how does it affect you? Because now, you know, we're in Miami right now. You're in LA around all type of crazy ass gang banging motherfuckers. How does it affect you when you move around knowing that you're somebody? You're very known over here. You could be a target because of a video you've created. You could be a target because obviously you got some fucking money. How do you move differently, and does it give you that extra paranoia?
Yeah, I definitely find I'm quite paranoid. I do suffer from anxiety. And I would say, to be honest, man, like, I'll just keep it real. In my day-to-day life, I don't be going out too much. And to be honest, bro, sometimes I do find myself, like, it's unfortunate and it makes me sad to think about, but it's like, there's days where I just feel like I can't leave the house. Yeah. Even though it's like I live in a nice spot and there's probably nothing gonna happen, and like most of the time I'm good. Maybe I wear the shiesty or a hood or a hat. But there's some days where I might be really struggling with the anxiety, and I'll be in my feelings. I'll be like, I can't go outside today. I just can't.
Same. I haven't really talked about this shit on camera, but there's been times where I literally didn't. You know, I just stayed inside. And, you know, I'd be in a working zone and I'm just nonstop. But it got to a point where I was literally like having anxiety attacks. I was so in my head, I was fucked, you know, and I'm not going to say anything incriminating, but I felt like if I didn't have something around me, I felt like I was gonna freak the fuck out. And then if I had something around me, I feel like my door's gonna get kicked in, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on with me? Like,
you know what's funny, man? You know, I can't say too much either, right? But like, even in the UK, obviously, it's very strict. But it's like, almost sometimes you feel like, I need something. But then the other hand, you just think like, man, am I gonna have something that someone else gonna take off me and use on me? I don't want to be.
Is this gonna make my situation even worse?
And I can't be walking around with the thing that someone else gonna use.
Yeah.
So it's like
a fucking trap.
And that's why you just stay at home.
It's a battle inside of your fucking head, bro.
And it's difficult because it makes life hard on some shit of like, look, well, I'm in Miami, I got security, we're moving differently out here. It's a different ball game. But it's like, even just at home, you know, your girl wants to go somewhere and it's just kind of like, yeah, I want to, but it's like, well, it's almost like you got to pretend to be normal, but it's like,
yeah, and you'll take your girl, and you know, there's even fucking memes like the girls walking through the grocery store, but in your head, you're fucking, all right, he's looking crazy. He's been staring the whole time. I don't know if he's a fan or not because he ain't saying it. It's just, it's a lot. And it's hard to get somebody to understand that. And it's hard to talk about, bro.
No, for real.
Because a lot of people are just run it off like, oh, you scared, or you this, or you that. But it doesn't matter who I talk to. You know, this is, even everybody I was in prison with, we've all come home and realized how fucked up we are after coming home. Because when you're in the madness, you're fine. You thrive in it. There's too much shit going on to be focused on it. But when you find peace, that's when you see how much damage this shit's actually caused, because you'll be in the middle of the most peaceful environment, but mentally you're not at peace. It's you that's not at peace with yourself. And that's the fucking struggle that I go through. So to talk to somebody that goes through similar things, it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that I'm not the only one going through it.
Yeah, me too, man.
And just, I try to hear what they do so that I'm not trapped in my own, you know, because I had the penthouse crib at the top of the city. And the only thing it made me do was look down and feel alone. Yeah. If I'm being honest. Yeah, it's a flex on the gram, but I just feel so fucking isolated from everything and everyone.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, man. It's like, I won't say too much, but there's even little shit of just like stuff that should actually be good starts feeling negative. Like I'd be having shit of like, look, it's a blessing to be famous and to get recognized by fans and shit, but it's like, I'll be on some shit like I might get recognized in the elevator in my building, and that's like, someone's trying to get some fan love, but it's like, bro, we ain't taking a picture in this building. I ain't really even trying to say that I'll be here. I might just be here for some other shit, but it's like, then it makes you feel like you can't trust anyone. People are like, oh, where do you stay at? Don't worry where I stay at. I can't tell you where, I can't tell no one where I stay at. I've got to be careful who I bring. I don't let anyone take pictures in my crib. And then you start, something that had really pissed me off over the years, and sometimes I wonder whether it's them or me, is some shit of like, I've had people that I grew up with maybe say some shit of like, I'll be like, oh, I got to move this way. And they're from the small town mentality. They don't really get what I got going on. And there's some shit like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, what? Oh, you think the Bloods are going to get you or whatever? And I'm just like, maybe. You don't know. I'm actually living this and dealing with this.
Exactly.
And when people try to downplay my safety or act like, oh, whatever, like, bro, I'm not trying to talk to those people. But then on the other hand, you feel like, bro, am I moving crazy? Do I need to relax a bit? Like, do I need to, maybe if I go to the supermarket with a, you know what I'm saying, with my girl or my family or whatever,
Bro,
it's
they
cool.
don't understand it, because you know what? At the end of the fucking day, Duck died getting a gift for his kid.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, Fulio died going to a hotel after celebrating his birthday. It don't matter. P&B Rock died eating fucking waffles. They wanted his jewelry. You know, you got the rollie on. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, though, man. That's the thing.
It's something as simple as that, and somebody will try to kill you. For people that don't understand it, or just they haven't seen as many examples as we have of it, it's like it's not in their head. Yeah. Versus for us, it's a constant thought.
Well, that was always the thing of me as well. Like, you know, when shit started taking off for me, I don't come from money. Like, I'm self-made. I can't say that I grew up in the roughest hood in the world, but like, you know, my dad like had businesses that came and went and failed and like had some success, lost money, lost everything. Like, my family been through a whole lot of ups and downs and bullshit. What I got going on, I built from the ground up. Like, I went periods of just being broke, doing anything I could for money. And then you end up getting a little bit of money, and then you start feeling like, I can't show it, I can't spend it, I can't show it off, I don't want to be a target, I don't want to put a sign on, like a rob me sign on myself. But then also you kind of rob yourself of the happiness of like, well, I want a nice watch, I can afford, I want to get a rollie, like, and I want to wear it. Like, I bought this watch, I left it in the safe for months on some shit of just like, no, I can't wear it, I can't be seen wearing that. Like,
bro, it's like having a bad bitch. Like, I got a baddie and I want y'all to know it, but now I don't, because now y'all in her DMs and fucking following her. Same shit. Like, it's cool to talk to somebody, bro, that deals with a lot of the same things, because that's what you don't really find. And it's like a lot of people don't understand that. And, you know, obviously we've spoke on some of the darker aspects of what we do. What do you feel like is the biggest blessing you've received through finding this YouTube career that you have?
Man, there's a couple things that come to mind. I would say the first thing straight up is that, like, I know it's difficult, you don't want to go outside, you feel stressed, you feel nervous, this and that, but like, we're blessed, like, even though the death and all that shit is very difficult to process, like, I get to look into and read and learn about and listen to music, shit that I love all day, every day, and get paid off of it. And my passion and the stuff that I'm interested in and the culture and my experience and things I've learned, things I've listened to for the last 10, 20 years all came in handy, and I make good money now off of stuff that I love. And sometimes I think to myself, like, I'm so blessed to get paid off of doing some shit I love. Because the amount of people that make hella money doing some shit they hate and they're like, oh, I just want to get out of this. I can't wait to get... I love what I do. I want to do it forever. I'd love to see some of the downsides maybe minimized a little bit and like be able to get through the shit a little bit more positively without it being so difficult. But in the same breath, I want to be able to do this for as long as I can. I actually love what I do. I want to take this shit to the top. I feel like there's so much more room to grow. We've got people like Adam and Vlad that are still growing, the academics. I look up to all of these guys. I think, man, I'm trying to take my lane as far as they took their lanes and shit. And like, so that's like the most motivating thing that I'm so grateful for, because I know so many people that do jobs that they hate or they're not making the money that they want to get. And you know what it's like, man, this thing's a blessing. You know, the YouTube, shit, man, I didn't even know it could go this good, you know? And like doing something that I actually like I would take it, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully not, but I would take a pay cut and keep doing this because I'm like, I love doing this.
Right.
Fortunately, it goes well and there's views and there's money and we can invest in the business and all that kind of stuff. But like, you know, that's one of the best things about it, just actually being able to do something you love and you're passionate about and that you're good at. Like, it feels good to do something. Like when I'm researching a video, I feel like I'm like Michael Jordan playing or something. When I like, there's a video that's been taken down and I find some backdoor way to get it and archive it and save it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm cooking right now. You know? So, and that feels good. Like you actually, like, we're top level at what we do. And so when you're actually in there cooking, when you're recording a video, like when you finish a video, you're like, yeah, man, I just got it in. Like that shit feels good.
It's a great feeling.
For sure. Like obviously views is great. Like when you have a video that's successful, it's great. When you have a video that does badly, that shit sucks. But it's like, I'm always just blessed to even be making videos and to be doing this and to be in this position. I'm very grateful. Like I really practice gratitude and I just try and have a positive outlook and just remember how lucky I am, even though I deal with a lot of bullshit and a lot of difficult things. Like super blessed and super lucky to be doing this. And then even then, this job gives you a lot of flexibility, man. I wouldn't be able to come to Miami, stay in nice spots, chill with you guys, like if I wasn't working hard and getting far in this YouTube thing.
Right.
So, you know, I just feel super blessed that I get to do that. And the one other thing I would say as well, when I was growing up, other than my big brothers, I didn't have no one, like I had one friend at school that listened to rap. I feel like the one thing I really love, even if a fan comes up to me or meeting you or meeting Adam, is like, I feel like my whole life I've been crying out for people that are just like into the same shit as me that I can have a conversation with. I can't have a conversation really with other than my brothers, but even now they don't really listen to hip hop like they used to. Like the stuff that's going on now that I talk about, they don't know about no Lil Jets or anything like that.
Right.
So one thing I do love is that like when I run into a fan, I know that they're into all the same shit as me and it feels like we're friends. Like if they're on some positive shit, like I love to chop it up with a fan. Like I'm like, what are you listening to? Like I'm hyped because it's like, growing up, I didn't have none of those people. And it's like, I've almost unlocked this world of people that all those subscribers, they're into the same shit as me. Otherwise they wouldn't be subscribed. So that's one thing I really love when I meet people that are into this. Like, you know, we went to Rolling Loud and it's just like, you guys all love hip hop too. Like, where were you when I was a kid, man? Like, I feel like I'm actually part of something now. So that's definitely like another aspect where I just feel blessed to be part of this scene.
Well, do you realize like how big you really are? Like, cause you're at a point where it's difficult to imagine these things and it can be surreal too, but like, say something tragic happened to you. Obviously, nobody wants that to happen, but if it did, do you realize how many people would be affected by that? You've become a part of people's lives. They watch you in their house, they listen to you on their way to work. There's a lot of people that are just so excited and happy to see you in person. When they do, that the high standard you've held Vaughn to and other rappers, these people hold you to. Do you actually like think about that type of thing?
It's funny you say that, man, because I feel like overall I would say no. I've always suffered with kind of like low self-esteem and just feeling like I ain't shit. So sometimes I see them numbers and I feel like that's not even me. I'm like, bro, how's that me? When I get recognized, like first time I got recognized, I was with my family and they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, I don't even know. Like first time someone recognized me, I was in a department store and some dude came up to me and was like, oh, can I ask you a question? I thought he thought I worked there because it didn't cross my mind that he would be recognizing me from YouTube. I probably had 60K subs at the time. So I was like, nah, bro. And he was like, okay. I was like, what, you think I work here? He was like, no, you Trap LaRosse. And I was like, whoa. Like, I thought you were looking for the shoes. Like, I thought you thought I worked here. Coming up to me, asking me a question. It didn't even cross my mind. So it's like, it's super surreal to me now. But it's funny what you say about like, if something happened to me, because like, that's like a positive way of looking at it. Like, you know, people would be sad that I'm gone. To be honest, bro, I think about it in a very negative way. Like, I often think, bro, if I die, there's gonna be a bunch of guys in Chicago smoking me. And like my people are probably not going to be feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like, bro, if it goes down, like it's going to be some mad negative shit of like people saying they're smoking me. Like
you gotta look at it, bro. Realistically, how many, if you had to put a number on it, how many rappers do you think would diss you? If you had to put a number on it, just a guess.
I mean, shit. I think like 4 or 5, then maybe.
4 or 5 would diss you.
But it's you know what it is? It's like it's all them same people that really hate in my comments. He's a culture vulture. You gonna get locked up. You're a fed.
Let me double down. How many people subscribe to you?
That's like 1 million and something.
So the amount of people that hate you is nowhere near the amount of people that love you.
You know what it is? Why is it that the hate sticks in your head? Because it's like you can read 10 positive comments, but
it's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing. And the thing that I always fucking did, like if I seen a comment that pissed me off, I'll go look at Dirk's comments. Like, damn, they dissing you way worse than me.
Yeah. That's a good point. I need to start doing that.
You know what I'm saying? Or like the baddest bitch, like you could go on fucking Kim Kardashian shit. Mad haters. If they're dissing her and they're dissing him, even Eminem is a perfect example, right? The realm that we're in, we're white as fuck. We don't have a tan pot of us. You know what I'm saying? So there's no confusion with that. The fact that we're in hip hop, primarily black, people feel some type of way, especially when you find success. For me, being that I lived in certain neighborhoods and I was in prison and, you know, whatever affiliation, I might have it a little bit easier than you, but even in that, I still get a lot of hate, a lot of this, a lot of you don't belong, you shouldn't have a voice, whatever. But when I deal with that, I look at Eminem. You still have people that say Eminem can't be the best because he's white.
Yeah.
Eminem this, Eminem that. If Eminem isn't gonna be accepted, I know I'm not. So I can't focus on that shit because even he isn't 100% bulletproof. You know what I mean? So it's like the haters are gonna stick out, but for what does it for me is it's always positive in real life. It's always positive in person.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't let this miserable motherfucker on the internet dictate how I feel about myself or anything else. You can't take that away from your success and from how many people fuck with you, you know what I mean?
No, for real. And unfortunately, bro, it is all just online shit. I've never really had any real negative interactions in person. I probably I have confrontational interviews and shit, but that's part of the promotion. And like, I like to have a debate and go back and forth with people, but I never had no one, at least touch wood, so far pull up on me on some real aggressive negative stuff. And like most people that see me, they're hyped to talk to me and like talk hip hop, and I like that. I'm happy with that.
Well, who in this field has been the most influential to you, or at least supportive that does what we do?
Man, I would say just off the top, like Adam has been one of the most supportive as far as just like putting me on early. You know, obviously it was like House Phone from No Jumper was one of the probably the first actual, I would say, like famous person that even showed me any love whatsoever anywhere. And then like he put Adam onto me, and then Adam just has like almost like mentored me for like, you know, several years now, just showing me how to move, encouraging me, just pushing me, giving me advice. And, you know, I'm super grateful for that, man. He's a real solid guy. You know, I've got to know Vlad in the last couple of years. Like, he's been mad supportive, giving me advice, looking out for me. You know, he's a real solid guy. And like, I've always admired what him and Adam have achieved in different lanes, but like just the heights that they took their craft to, and like how they've impacted the culture. Obviously, Academics is another person. Like, he's shown me a lot of love over the years. I think Academics is a different one for me because it's like, I feel like he's in such a different lane to where I want to be in. It's not that, it's like, I feel like he inspired me in a lot of ways as far as like navigating the media and the types of stories to talk about. It's like, I've tried the live streaming thing before and I'm like, bro, Ak, I don't know how you do that. 8 hours on live.
It's different.
You're built different like that. You're killing it at that. And that's, I'm going to try and do some more Vlad type.
He's a master of his craft.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and do like the more Vlad documentary. But it's funny, I would also say, not people that I know, but like, as far as influences creatively, a lot of like famous documentary makers over the years have really influenced me. People like Louis Theroux or like Michael Moore, just as far as like storytelling and taking information and presenting it to help people understand. There's a guy in the UK called Adam Curtis that makes these dope documentaries with just like, they're like historical documentaries about war and politics and finance, but like, it's just like video clips and him talking over them for like 2 hours. But like, he really inspired me on some shit of just like, just show and tell, like, this is what's going on, just explain it, help people understand what's going on with some visuals and explanation. And so it's like, as far as creatively, I'm in a lane of the documentary thing, but seeing how to move people like Adam and Vlad, and even like talking to you, like conversations that we've had over the years, we've got on the phone and chopped it up a few times. And like, I feel like, you know, we can relate to each other a lot. And like, it's good to have peers that are at the same level as you. And then you got someone like Adam that can kind of show us the ropes, and then we're kind of coming up, and then there's people that are still trying to come up under where we're at. Right. And like,
just pass it on.
Just good to feel part of a community. And you know, I've passed on sauce to some people that have been good, and some people that have treated me bad. And like, sometimes it's like, man, I need to help myself first before I be trying to lift other people up. But like, someone like Adam or Vlad, you know, even act like they're mad gracious and like, always like, you know, Act's always got something nice to say about me on stream if he's reacting to some of my stuff, or like Adam's always pushed me and promoted me. I see Vlad bringing me up in a few interviews to people, and it's just, you know, I feel mad like, what's the word? Just like grateful and just like humbled by like they ain't got to do that, you know? And it's almost like you meet a lot of, or you hear stories about a lot of famous stuck-up celebrities that don't want to help other people, and it's almost like man, like they ain't got to do that. Like I must be doing something right that they actually respect what I do, and that's some shit that I'm mad proud of. Like that even like someone like Vlad would want to pick up the phone and give me some advice. I'm like, man, like he ain't doing that for everyone. So
yeah. No, that's major right there.
For real, man.
That's dope. For you, what would be the dream project? Like what is something that you would love to do, and what is the motivation? Like, how is the way that you're gonna get there?
I'd love to do a Netflix show. I've got a bunch of different ideas of stuff that I'd like to do in that lane. I think what I'm doing, I still feel like I'm practicing. Like people say to me like, oh, your shit looks like Netflix. I feel like I've got a couple more years like to learn. I need to keep leveling up to the point where it's like my video you could put on Netflix tomorrow and it would look like it would just fit in.
Blend right in.
Yeah, and like I've got a few different ideas. I won't give away all the source of like what I want to do on those platforms, but like I feel like there's two routes that I could go of like doing the documentary stuff to a high level and really trying to tell some really big stories on Netflix. That's like, yo, these are the biggest stories. When this drops on Netflix, everyone's going to be talking about this. That's one way to go. The other way to go, like, obviously I've been a big fan of The Sopranos and The Wire. I mean, I would love to do something in the kind of like fictional, based on a real story kind of shit of like a movie about this kind of stuff that we're into. You know, there's so many interesting stories that could make a movie, or even you take some elements of different things and create a movie like on some Tarantino, Scorsese type stuff, but for our culture and the stuff that we're into and that we're interested in. So like, those are lanes that I really want to get into, but I know I've got a lot to learn. Like I've never directed a movie before.
Right.
I've been making documentaries, but it's different. It's not like the same as a Netflix documentary. It's like a blockbuster documentary. So that for me is the dream project. Like I really want to level up creatively. I don't see this as like a business or as a hustle of like, let's just crank out videos. Like every video I do, I try and better myself in every single video I do. I try and research deeper than I've ever done before. Like I'm thinking like, how can I find some shit? How can I come up with some new way to find some info and analyze some shit on a different level that I've not done before? And then also like, it's kind of like every time I approach a video, I want it to be the best shit I can do. And I recently dropped a video that I felt like wasn't up to my standards and I took it down. I did a video about Diddy and all of the cases that he's had over the last 25 years. And this was while I was traveling and while I was in LA. I kind of had other people helping me out with the writing and stuff. And I didn't put the effort into it that I should have put in, that I'm putting into the video that I'm working on now and that I put into the Von video. And I put the video out because I was in a rush and just like, you know, it's not about the numbers, but the numbers was a reflection of the video was not up to my usual standards. Like, right. You know, the Von video, look, the fact it got over 10 million views is crazy to me, but at the same time, it's like, I put blood, sweat, and tears into that for months. I read every tweet the guy ever made in his whole life. So it's like, I can sort of see why that's a really special piece of content. Like, that's a special piece of media that like no one else really could have made. And like this Diddy thing I did that I took down, I rewatched it and I was like, that's not me. That ain't pushing shit forward. That's a step back for me. And it was still doing some views and making some money and doing this thing, but I said it doesn't represent what I'm about or where I'm going. I took it down.
That's fucking fire though, that you hold yourself to that standard, because that's how anybody's gonna find success in any aspect of life. You know, if you hold yourself to that high of a standard where it's like, yeah, I put that out, but you know what? I could have did it better. I'm getting rid of it. I need to perform better. And it felt good. It says a lot about you.
It felt good to take it down because it was actually eating me up. I think it was live for like 3 days. And then I was like, it just didn't sit right with me. And it wasn't like, oh, it's not doing well. It was like, I know why it's not doing well. And a lot of people, this is the thing about the YouTube thing, right? A lot of people drop a video, it might flop. And they'll be on some shit of like, YouTube's suppressing me. YouTube's not pushing my shit. Bro, like, if it's good, people will find it and it'll get pushed. If it's not good, People ain't gonna click it, they ain't gonna stick with it, it ain't gonna get recommended more. And I feel like sometimes you gotta humble yourself, and like in that situation, I humbled myself and was like, that didn't do good because it wasn't a good video. And I knew deep down, I was like, I should have tried harder on that shit. I was in a rush because I wanted to get another video out this month. I knew it was gonna take a really long time for the next one because the next one's about a whole thing. So it's like, but I was like, nah, that's not me. Let me take that down. I'm not proud of this. Because I've got stuff that I've done recently that's not done crazy good numbers, but I'm mad proud of it. So I'm like, bro, I'd keep that up because forget the numbers. What that content is says a lot about me. Like I did a video about this Indian rapper, this Indian gangster rapper called Sidhu, who got assassinated. He was trying to get into politics and trying to change his country. He was like the first drill rapper in India, and they assassinated him and killed him. Crazy video. Dropped it. Really didn't do good numbers. I lost money on it. As far as it cost me way more to make it than it even made back, even today. But I'm mad proud of that video because it's like, bro, if you want to know how they get active in India and they're rapping about it and they're sliding on tractors and shit, like that's really, like, you can go learn about that. And that video is the type of shit where I feel like if I was trying to pitch a show to Netflix, that's some shit of like, yo, we do a video about this Indian gang war. Like that might not do well on YouTube in our space, but like there's millions of people that want to know about this. And maybe it didn't do well in this way on this day, but I'm proud of that video. And that's the definitive video to learn about that scene and that culture. And it's like, you know, I wouldn't take that down because it only did like 400K or whatever, and we spent 2 months on it. But that Diddy thing was like, nah, that don't represent me. Like a video with low views that's fire, that I really stand on, I'd keep up. But yeah, no, that was a learning experience for me.
Well, now that we know how you push yourself, how do you handle YouTube beef?
I've had a couple little YouTube beefs, but like, the funny thing is, it's almost like, it's such a distraction. Like I've had a few people come at me before, or like people acting nice and then kind of doing some weird stuff behind the scenes. And like, sometimes you get wrapped up in that stuff and it gets in your head and you're like, oh man, like, oh, did I handle this wrong? Or like, oh man, like, I thought this guy was my friend and he turned out to be a mad snake or a weirdo. But I always try and catch myself and be like, that shit's a distraction. I need to focus on the next video. I had a situation with a YouTuber and I was like, man, I'm gonna do an expose video on them. And I'm like, bro, I don't think anyone even gives a fuck about them enough for me to expose them on my big ass platform.
That's the thing. It's like when you find yourself in that shit, it's like, even the shit we talked about earlier with dude that hit up Adam and whatever. It's like that for him.
That's a win for him.
Make him feel like he's a fucking celebrity. For me, it's a waste of fucking time and money.
It's like I'm doing a promo campaign for you.
Yeah.
When I could be doing something about the biggest rapper. I know I'm gonna make something better than anything you're gonna make. So it's like, I don't even really need to be worrying about you. But like, you know, when shit's personal, it gets in your head, you get in your feelings. But it's almost like you got to remember, you're on the path to greatness. There's way more important stuff than you could be doing, and that's why it's like, it's almost like the thing of like crashing out. Not that I was going to crash out, but just feeling like your time on this earth's limited. Like we can, in the next 2 hours, there's only so many options of shit that we could go and do. We could go for dinner, we could go and do this, we could film another thing, we could go to the club, whatever. But it's like, you actually got to be strategic. Like, okay, what's actually the best chess move for me right now? Is the best chess move for me to do a really, really high effort video on something that really matters, or to be petty because some guy pissed me off 2 weeks ago and I'm going to waste a bunch of time on something that doesn't matter? It's like, when you take a step back and you calm down, you're kind of like, bro, that's not the move. I'm trying to get up there. I'm not trying to be down here fighting in the mud with some fucking weirdo.
Right.
So,
and I feel like it's important to ask these questions too, because, you know, for the fans or for anybody that you inspire, for them to hear how you push yourself, for them to hear how you avoid the bullshit, you keep the focus going, it's important, you know, because a lot of people, they'll ask people in our position, you know, how do I do what you're doing? How do I get to that stage? And you're literally giving them the sauce right now.
Man.
They just have to listen to it, pay attention to it, and apply it to their own life. And hopefully they'll find themselves in the same realm of success that we've luckily found.
Yeah, man. No, we've been mad lucky, man. And, you know, it is a blessing. I know it comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of negativity, but it's like, bro, we're super lucky. And it's like, it's just crazy time to be alive, crazy time to be doing what we're doing. And like, you know, we're just getting started, man.
Definitely. But hey, I appreciate, you know, sitting down doing this interview.
It's been lit.
It's our last night in Miami, so, you know, we got to hang out. But if you got any last words you want to give to the people.
Man, I just want to say, like, everything that you just said, Jake, like, you know, I'm just really grateful that like me and you could actually sit down and have a conversation. It's crazy to think, like we were saying this at dinner the other night, from where we both came from, completely different sides of the track, completely different countries, completely different worlds. But shit, something brought us here together for this moment, for us to be sat at this table having this conversation for a reason. Like, think how different our lives have been and how different worlds we came from, but how much shit that we relate on. And it's just crazy, like, to think when I was a kid of like the sorts of people that I was around and where I would end up and the people I would get with. So it just says to me that like everything happens for a reason. And I feel like, you know, we're blessed to be in this position. I feel like we got to make the most of this opportunity and not waste it, and, you know, do positive shit and spread the word and just show people, just inspire others to do the same thing and get on the right path, man. So it just feels good, man. It feels like a real special weekend this has been, and I'm grateful, man. So I appreciate you.
So I appreciate you, bro.
Love, broski.